Good evening, and welcome to this edition of Blue Stained Glass Poetry. I'm your host, Marian Abdo. Kind of another yucky, rainy day in Northeast Pennsylvania. Hopefully, the next week it'll start getting better and we can go hiking and enjoy all the beautiful colors that autumn has to offer in this area. Tonight, I'll be reading autumn themed poetry. The selections will be nature poetry, Irish folk tales, and a few classic poetry favorites. A wonderful seasonal journal called the Avocet gives poets the opportunity to submit their nature-themed work. Not only do they have a seasonal journal, but they publish a weekly online journal. So here are my three poems. Fall 2022, Farm Magic and Mirrored Water. Fall 2023, The Lure of Father Earth. I will put their contact information in the description box below. Farm Magic. Crows cawing, warning of Indian summer's end. Harvest time of the spring seedlings has begun. The magic of fully grown, colorful vegetables, picked ripe to perfection. All that tender, loving care is now on roadside stands. Anticipation has begun for the canning and baking season. Hayfields spun into large golden spools. There is something in the air as a cool crispness blankets the land. Smells of freshly tilled earth, made ready for late fall's unfriendly bite. The music of geese honking is accompanied by the far-off sounds of tractor engines. Quilts hanging on the line, mimicking the colors of autumn. Farmers coming back from the fields sooner as twilight approaches. Stars and galaxies are starting to linger much longer. Mirrored water. Leaves gone. Trees have become pattern-laced designs. Stepping through the muddy remnants of autumn. Enjoying her last tales mirrored against the lake. Cranes gliding on the water, snatching up fish before sunset. Frogs jumping through the greenish lily pads and brown cattails. The wind rustling, echoing through the forest. Catching sight through my camera lens, a family of deer traipsing around the grove. Their bushy white tails and brown fur melding into the mirror below. Watching the twilight begin, admiring those last hues of sunset sink into the earth, while absorbing the sounds of animals calling out, "Good night." The next one, The Lure of Father Earth. Summer roots give way to Father Earth's October splendor. Sturdy and strong, roots sprang up from Father Earth's wiry long hair, supported beloved gardens and fruit-bearing trees. His unruly beard intertwines roots into the Earth's core. Working with Mother Earth, they enable the planet to breathe, to live, and to prosper. Mother Earth instinctively cares for the upper reaches of land, water, and air. Father Earth toils for the gifts of rich black soil, underground water, and the crevices of its underground lair. Nocturnal animals delight in escaping autumn's blazing sun. Solar animals walk over Father Earth's grassy green mantle. Trees show their gratitude with autumnal paintbox, paintbrushes dashing the colors upon every mountainside and river edge. Leaves dropping, gliding their way down into the soil, keeping Father Earth's kingdom warm on that first frosty night. Nocturnal and solar animals gather together in final celebration by the light of the hunter's moon, as Taurus the bull gathers one and all to end the frivolity before the morning's first light. And as the last autumn winds whisper farewell, Father Earth nestled in for 6 months of slumber. The next selection is from the book called Irish Folktales by Henry Glasse. I purchased this book at the Celtic Bookshop in Limerick, Ireland. Oh my gosh, this bookshop is just every bookworm's dream. Absolutely gorgeous, very quaint, and it was a delight to go through this bookstore. I think I spent about 2 hours there. So this book piqued my interest. It reminded me of my grandmother's tales that she would tell, around Halloween time. So I'm going to read a short tale. It's called A Big Potato. A Big Potato by Henry Glasse. It was written in 1972. John Bodisson tells the story that one season, some years ago, he had a field of potatoes convenient to the Sligo and Leitrim river line. And it was a deep, steep hill that he planted his potatoes in. And they'd done remarkably well. And when it came time for to dig them up, they turned out to be a powerful fine crop of potatoes. And he was digging, he tells us. One day, he came to the spot on the ridge, and he found out there was a potato from one row to the other. So he got behind, as he thought, this potato for to roll it out. But he found out that he had grew across the furrow, in through the ridge, on both sides of the ridge, and that it was planted deeply in the ground. So he had to go to both of the ridges, dig all the mold that was around the potato. So then, when he had it properly uncovered, he found out that it was a very deep distance in the ground. And he had to start to rise it and the spade of the ground. And he was there a very long time digging the mold from round it to get to and back to the spade and under it. But finally the mold all cleared, and he started with the spade, rising it up and rising it up and rising it up, till finally he got to the top of the ground, and it joined to roll. So he was much to be fatigued and tired after the job that he had it. He never bothered looking where it went, and he started again. And he heard a cart coming from the road, the direction of Enniskillen. And the next thing he heard was a terrible bang. So he looked around and had seen where his cart had tumbled. So he struck the spade, he run down to it, and he found that the platy had been rolled onto the road. And in trying to get it by, the man had enough room between the platy and the other hedge for it to go by clear. And the wheel of the cart went up, and on the potatoes everything tumbled to the ground. So there it was. There was nothing, only sacks of meal and sacks of flour lying here, there, in all directions. And the horse was lying on its side in the road. But then, in them days, there was a lot of people traveling on horses and donkey carts, and it wasn't very long till they came a go of the men making from home. So them all got down, and they all got the horse released from the cart, and they got the horse up on its feet. So they had to take and they had to move every sack that was lying around the hedge away from the cart. Still, they got the cart back on its wheels again, and it got pulled alongside the potato. So it was getting very near night, and he tells us he didn't like to leave it on the road all night for fear of more capsizes or more accidents. So he went home. And he had a talk with his wife. So they came to the conclusion they had a new crosscut. So they came to the conclusion that they'd have to put the donkey on the cart and they'd start away with the crosscut. And that they would cut the shares down to the house. So they started anyhow. And at a very late hour, they all cut back to home. So that terrible hard night, he said, one of the hardest nights of his life, between the way he had to labor and the way he had to get the potato up and the way he had to spade back and forth the earth and the hardship that he had that night and his wife after. Oh, John, you used to tell a story. Oh, how a good story John told. And this is The Big Potato by Henry Glasse. Finally, I'm going to read a few selections from the 150 most famous poems by Poetry House. A Fairy Song by William Shakespeare, and The Road Not Taken by both of my favorites, Robert Frost. In the description box, I will put all the information of these poetry books, including the website for the Celtic Bookshop. A Fairy Song. Over hill, over dale, through bush, through briar, over park, over pale, through flood, through fire. I do wander anywhere, swifter than the moon's sphere, and I serve the queen of the fairies. To drew her orb, and I serve the fairy queen, to do her orbs upon the green. The cowslips tall her pensioners be, in their gold coat spots you see. Those be rubies fair fairs. In those freckles live their saviors. I must go seek some dewdrops here, and hang a pearl in every cowslip's ear. A Fairy Song by William Shakespeare. Sorry about the little flub there. I love Shakespeare. I love Robert Frost as well, too. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same, and both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden back. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all of the difference. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. So if anyone would like to submit their poetry, please see the link below. I will be happy to read your poems, and I will give you a heralding high five. Baseball. Phillies are playing tonight. Anybody a baseball fan or sports fan, please submit your poems to me. I will be more than happy to read them on the air as well. Tune in next weekend for more poetry and book updates. Thank you for stopping by Blue Stained Glass. And Thank you for stopping by Blue Stained Glass and Poetry. Poetry is a creative response to the world around us. Have a great week and take care.